Hello and welcome back to Albert vs. the Asylum. Today, we're talking about A Princess of Mars. Now, you might remember that a few years back, the Disney Corporation made a version of this story entitled John Carter. It was originally going to be called John Carter of Mars, but they wussed out on the Mars part, and they were never ballsy enough to put a princess in the title. This is a novel from 1917 written by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It is a pinnacle of pulp sci-fi, and despite the fact that it is not very good, it has remained an enduring influence on science fiction to this day. But despite what you might think, the Asylum version is not ripping off the Disney version. No. The Asylum came out with their version of A Princess of Mars a full 3 years before Disney hit the market. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Asylum got there first. I mean, granted, they were still trying to rip off James Cameron's Avatar, but they got there first with this version of the story. And I'm just going to say this, and I know I might make a lot of you mad, but I like this version much, much better than the Disney version. Why? Well, let's take a look and find out. Our story opens with a sniper taking beat on a Middle Eastern city.
Name's John Carter, U.S. Special Forces Intel.
Dude, could you keep it down? I'm trying to be stealthy over here.
Why am I telling you this? I don't know. Maybe it's not important.
Spoiler alert,
Someone
it isn't.
wiser than me once told me, you can tell a lot about a man by what he does.
He was an interpretive dancer,
My
and believe me,
missions are
you could tell a
classified.
lot about him
As
from
I'm
that.
sure my story would be. Except, no one will believe it.
It all started with me narrating to myself in the middle of the desert.
Many people pass through this area.
It's now sharing season.
You Americans, Russians, everyone wants a piece of what we have here. But with too many hands reaching into the barrel, soon you see there's nothing left to take out.
So, how are you liking your tea?
Maybe not my wife.
That's funny.
She likes you. You should take her with you.
She's too heavy. I can't carry that much.
Wow, first you invade his country and then you insult his wife. That's a sick burn.
I don't know who they are. They have a camp outside of town. They need trucks. They seem to have a lot of money. But no one's getting any of it. Except the prostitutes.
For instance, my wife brought home $500 last night. Cha-ching! Later that night, John Carter confronts some thugs at the edge of town.
What is so funny?
The look on your face when I blow up all your opium in those trucks.
How do you know this is OPM?
You're right. When we find out.
The American doesn't joke.
Except for the
Look,
occasional
I let
pun
go
now
of
and then.
this.
But they're
I need
very
to say
bad.
goodbye to everything.
John Carter gets shot, but he takes out some of the locals in the ensuing firefight.
I'm not authorizing this.
Unless I have your full assurance, this procedure will not have.
After being injured in the gun battle, he wakes up in a military hospital with two men talking over him.
You're not expected to make it through the night. All of your major systems are failing, but that's okay.
Because nobody really liked you
We
anyway.
have this. The entire data to reconstruct you atom by atom lives on this 16 gigabyte flash memory stick.
They would have needed at least 64 megabytes for the average human being, but it turns out this guy is incredibly boring.
It was funny the other day when you said Mars.
Seriously, I laughed for like 5 minutes.
We are
Hilarious.
sending to Mars. Not the Mars that you think. This is Mars 216, a small planet in the orbit Alpha Centauri.
This is probably a good time to talk about some of the updates they've made to this story. In the original story, John Carter is a Civil War soldier who's transported to Mars via some magical astral projection thing. And that's the version you see in the Disney film as well. In the Asylum's version of the story, they've updated it to modern day. Probably for cost reasons more than anything else. The Asylum also gives John Carter's transport to Mars a cool, hard sci-fi twist. And I could take that or leave that, but I understand where they're coming from, and I don't think it takes too much away from the story. how are we making eye contact when you're not looking down and I'm on the floor?
Avert your eyes.
No.
I want to watch.
He can do us no harm now.
The teleporter transports John Carter from the deserts of Afghanistan to, it looks like the deserts of Afghanistan again. At this point, it's entirely possible that they just fed him a bunch of LSD and dropped him outside. Upon finding himself in this strange alien new world, John Carter decides to jump 30 feet in the air. You know, like you do. Yeah, that seemed pretty normal to me. That seemed like a normal thing to do. I'm not surprised by this in the least. I think I might do it again. Wait a minute. Did my clothes not teleport with me? Well, this is embarrassing. How did he not see the giant chicken monster standing there the whole time? Hey bro, not cool. Don't you know that egg prices are at an all-time high adjusted for inflation? You know you're in a bad way as an actor when the guys in full face masks are still better at emoting than you are.
I'm from a planet called Earth. Well, actually from Virginia.
Starkey, technically, just south of Roanoke.
My name is John Carter.
The spiky-faced guys take John Carter captive and force him to demonstrate his massive jumping capabilities. A good attempt, but the Tharkin judge will deduct points because he didn't stick the landing.
Enough. You want me to jump again? I'm not gonna jump. Just do it.
Oh, we never liked that guy anyway. Ha ha ha.
Okay. How about some water? Drinking water. Liquids. Great. That's it. Good. Thank you.
Can you believe this guy? Drank my sweat. What a moron.
Shouldn't you be in school?
No, today's teacher planning day on Mars. I guess stay in school, kids? I know the superintendent of the school board and you're gonna be in big trouble! Just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder, more of the bug things show up and attack the spiky head aliens. I actually really like this moment in the movie. Even though the spiky-headed aliens have captured John Carter, they set him free when the bugs attack because they're not cruel, and John Carter returns their compassion by going back to help them fight off the bugs. And it leads to this really great moment where you have these two men standing side by side fighting together. I know it might seem like a simple thing, but this kind of interaction is at the heart of the John Carter mythos. It's about friendship that's born out of honor and respect.
Good fight, dude. Cup of sweat?
Nah, I'm good.
Cup of phlegm? I made it myself.
It didn't come from your body, did it?
No. No, why would you even ask that?
Doesn't smell so bad. I'll give it a shot.
That's what she said. I mean, enjoy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take some more. What is that?
Considering that the Asylum released this movie back in 2009, the special effects are not that bad. They're not great either, but there's a quality to them that makes me harken back to the old Flash Gordon serials of the 1930s. And that really works for the tone of this movie. The spiky aliens force John Carter to eat a bug, which somehow allows him to understand their language.
Okay, all right.
Allow me to introduce myself again. I am Tars Tarkus. This is Solo.
I'm John Carter. There was something in that bug, right?
Yes. The Jubilee beetle allows all to communicate.
Interesting. They taste like crap.
Crap.
We do not understand this crap you speak of. We excrete our waste in our sweat.
And I for you.
John Carter is accepted into the spiky-headed alien tribe, and the next day he goes out with them on a raiding party.
This does not concern you. Under no circumstances interfere. I cannot promise that we won't confuse you for the enemy. Ha!
Seriously though, my eyesight is terrible. I would get glasses, but it's hard to get them to stay up without ears.
The Sand People attack Jabba's sail barge and shoot it down over the desert. Listen, Rick, I did the dishes last week. It's your turn.
Yeah, but I mowed the lawn this week.
Don't you dare walk away from us, young lady. You're grounded for a week. You guys are just the worst. Why won't you let me do what I want to do?
Come on, Janice. We can't stop her. She has to make her own decisions.
John Carter tracks down two of the survivors from Jabba's sail barge.
When I die, please bury us together.
Here, take some water.
I sweated out special just for you.
Can you tell me who that woman was?
She's Deja Thoris, Princess of Helium.
This whole Princess of Helium thing is from the original book. Helium is what the people on Mars call their planet. I can only assume this is because Edgar Rice Burroughs just looked up a fancy-sounding scientific word and hoped nobody had heard of it in 1912.
You're lying.
Look, I'll always
John Carter goes to investigate the downed ship where he meets a lady with a sword.
How can I trust you?
I'm the only friend you've got?
That's not true. I've got lots of friends.
I promise you, I'm not gonna give you up to a bunch of bloodthirsty tharks.
In case you're not from the United States and you were wondering, this is exactly what everyone from West Virginia sounds like.
You will thank me later.
Ah, yes, the old method of rescuing a woman by punching her straight in the mouth. So great to see chivalry isn't dead. This isn't what it looks like, guys. I was just, holding her for a friend.
The prisoner's mine.
I know I said I didn't have any use for slaves, but then I saw her and she was pretty hot, so yeah, mine.
It's not what you think. I'm still still on your side.
I'm just also on their side.
That was her pee bucket!
Ew. Also, when did... You know what? No, never mind. I don't want to know.
How did Tal Hodges become supreme?
No one really knows, but I think it has something to do with super delegates.
Later that night, the caravan is attacked by giant flying spiders. Yeah. But I'm sure that they help to keep down the population of other undesirable giant flying insects. So, you know, don't kill one when you see it in your house because it's good for the environment.
There you go, my princess.
Ha! I peed in it. Psych!
You guys have a lot to learn on this planet.
And that was the day that John Carter of Mars became John Carter, Chairman of the Board of Education.
What is it?
On their way to see Tal Hodges, John Carter and the Tharks passed the air pumping station that we heard about earlier.
Used to control us.
We get a whole giant info dump about how it works and how that one guy can run it all by himself.
Fail-safe.
Yeah. I'm sure this won't be important later in the movie at all.
Is the most important job on this planet.
Also, I really like that the Tharks don't believe the humans about the air needing to be purified. It makes sense that they wouldn't want the humans to have that kind of power over them. And it adds a lot of dramatic heft to the conflict in the story.
We are here to see Tal Hodges. We have with us the Princess of Mars.
Which also happens to be the title of the movie that we're in right now. We also have with us John Carter. But you'd be stupid to name the whole movie after just him.
What is this you've interrupted my day with? I have brought you the princess. So it is the Princess of Mars.
And John Carter. But again, we're not dumb enough to name the movie after him.
Been told. I cannot see how your kind worships you.
You gotta give Tal Hodges credit. His negging game is on point.
We intercepted the princess on the way to do business, which may affect all of us.
What could that be?
The princess was en route to the royal puppy machine.
The royal puppy machine? What?
The air you breathe, is it not still fresh? She never delivered her cargo to the station, did she not?
Jet fuel can't melt steel pumping stations.
Who are you to tell me what I can do?
I am John Carter of Mars.
We could have conceivably called the movie that,
Jeddak
but never just my name.
of the Tharks.
Because again, that would be
Captain
incredibly
of the
stupid.
arms.
A Jeddak, Grasshopper? Who could have bestowed such a position upon you, a human?
Oh, my bad.
So Tal Hodges demotes Tars Tarkas, sends John Carter to the fighting pits, and takes Deja Thoris as his,
Be issued from
personal
your lips.
assistant.
Lips that I will not waste, I might add.
We haven't had a good saxophone player in the Palace Band in years.
Not if I kill you.
John Carter meets the masked man from earlier, who turns out to be the guy from Afghanistan he was fighting before.
You Americans are so easy.
I would explain how he got here, but it's stupid.
Where I kept everything.
So let's
All
just
my
call it
people.
plot magic
If
and
only
move
they
on.
keep me alive.
What is wrong with you, Tharks? Don't you guys have reality TV?
Because I'm pretty sure you love America's Next Top Model.
Shit.
The Tharks force John Carter and Tars Tarkas to fight.
I'm not gonna fight him.
We have to fight!
I'm just gonna assume that Tars Tarkas isn't really trying to kill John Carter here. Because the alternative is to assume that he fights like a wuss.
I'm not gonna fight you! I want you to know that you were honorable. I was glad to have you as part of my squad!
Thanks, I guess?
If you were to defeat Tal Hodges, then you'd be commander, right?
If I could defeat him, yes!
But you're choking me to death, so that doesn't seem very likely at this point.
Just don't quit, do you?
A Thugman never concede a fight!
Have it your way, then.
Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us.
I'm not gonna pretend to know exactly what's going on here, but I'm pretty sure it's somebody's fetish.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Come with me.
Meanwhile, during the day,
We really should think about getting some reality TV up in here.
It's my lucky night.
yes, it's nighttime when this scene is happening. You can tell because of the, next scene.
Have you learned nothing? If you have a superpower, you should keep it hidden.
I'm sorry, what? I couldn't hear you from way down here.
It's time to end this.
John Carter throws a giant rock at Tal Hodges, dropping his litter into the arena.
I challenge you for leadership of the tribe. Do you accept the challenge? Only I can issue such a command. Do you accept the challenge? Join! You are unfit to command.
You know, this scene is cool and all, but it does kind of raise the question why no one else tried to challenge the giant fat guy who was ruler of everything to a duel before now. He didn't seem that difficult to beat. He didn't look that difficult to beat. Come on, guys. You're a warrior society. Take some initiative.
Who amongst those witness to this denies my right to command?
Yes, I see your hand in the back. Yes, also you. All right, anyone else? Okay, I think that's a solid vote for yes. Now that we have that business out of the way, let's discuss farm subsidies. So Tom Swift and his giant flying surfboard take off for the air pumping station.
Man, I hope I don't look really stupid right now.
Bald-headed bad guy whose name I've forgotten takes Deja Thoris to the pumping station and tricks her into opening the door for him. Call Deja Thoris Piano Tuning for all your piano tuning needs.
Everything is in fine working order, Princess. No parts need replacement. Everything is as it was 700 years ago when I began.
I haven't seen anybody in all that time, and it's been super lonely, you guys.
So this is it. This is the heart of it.
Yes, this is all of it. Hydrogen fusion.
All those pipes and stuff we've been walking through, they're just for looks. This spinning glowy thing is where the action's really at.
This is?
I wouldn't touch that.
But you know what this is?
Dude, I've been here for 700 years. Yes, I know what it is.
You shouldn't be touching.
Let's all not react together. Nailed it.
If you know what this is, I don't think you'll come closer to me.
What do you want?
I want an answer from her.
My heart belongs to you.
I'm sorry, what did you say? It's really loud in here and I can't hear you whispering.
I can see you.
And you look amazing.
Sarka. Not there either.
Warmer.
Sarka.
Warmer.
Sarka!
What? Dude, I'm sorry. I totally spaced out for a second there.
You always sucked at math, Sarka. You're a shitty opium dealer, a shitty tea seller, and now you're a shitty destroyer of the worlds.
John Carter of Mars, life coach.
I can't believe you're doing this over a girl. It's not really you. The Sarka I know is motivated by money and power. You might be losing it.
You're right. The girl means nothing to me. She is immaterial. With you out of the way, let's say dead, I shall restart this pumping station. But only after the people of this planet make me their supreme ruler and bring me tribute.
Tribute? 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 Honestly, I don't know what you're trying to say here, dude.
With this impenetrable station as my base, I shall have the best bargaining chip ever. The air supply. It is better than drugs.
You heard it here first, kids. Don't do drugs. Just suck in a big lungful of that good old oxygen. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm high on it right now.
You're forgetting one small thing.
And what is that?
I'm going to kill you.
Oh crap, you're right, I did forget. Man, I knew I should have written that down somewhere. Meanwhile, Tars Tarkus is experiencing the miracle of childbirth. Apparently.
Come on! Push! Push! You can do it!
Don't let your dreams be dreams!
I'm still alive up here! I'm coming back to get you as soon as I get down from this bug! Do you hear me, John Carter?
Is that it? Is that the controller?
That's it.
Okay. Come on. Is it working?
You know, we're really impressed that you can play the theremin and all, but could we maybe turn the atmosphere thing back on? Because that would be great. So they get the atmosphere generator turned back on and the day is saved. But at the very moment of his triumph, John Carter is sucked back to Earth, where his military supervisors believe that the experiment was a failure.
They sent me back to active duty. So now I wait, biding my time for the day when I shall return to the Red Planet and the Princess of Mars.
Which, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but would make an awesome title if anybody ever made this story into a movie. Just saying. So that was A Princess of Mars. And as a fan of the original book, I actually really like this movie. It does justice to the characters in a way that I just never saw in Disney's John Carter. In particular, the Tars Tarkas character in this movie is just so much closer to the fearsome warrior, leader, general, and ultimately king of the Tharks that he was in the book, that I just... even thinking about the Disney version just makes me angry. That little weird snot man is not the Tars Tarkas that I love. Overall, as an adaptation of the original story, this is just really solid work. It still runs into the problems that Asylum movies always run into. You still have cheap CG, you still have underperforming actors, but if you think about it, this is a pulp adaptation of what was originally a pulp story. So in a weird way, all of that stuff kind of fits. I know a lot of people out there liked John Carter a lot. But for me, it did not live up to the book. And this movie did. Plain and simple. It's not great and it's not perfect. But you know what? Neither was the book. It's a pretty okay adaptation of a pretty okay story, and it's one of the Asylum's most overlooked gems. Until next time, for Albert versus the Asylum, I'm Albert, asking every alien that I meet, shouldn't you be in school? Okay, Human Echoes podcast marketing meeting. What's our budget looking like, Tony?
It's about $5.
$5? What kind of marketing can I buy for $5?
I've got a guy in Sri Lanka who will write human echoes on his belly and dance around.
Is that the best we can do?
I mean, I could write human echoes on my belly and dance around.
खुश होवे ओही हंसदा